Hey, Cameron, Steve Sexton, episode. Um, oh, you got some weird stuff coming on here. I got episode 179 with Glen Henderson talking about real estate. So let's go ahead and get going. Um, I'm going to do the intro, my little piece, and then we're going to bring in Glenn. Um, and let's get this rocking. Okay, let's move this here. Okay, so let's just start. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, welcome to the Saving with Steve show, where we talk about the ins and outs of money, pretty much everything under the sun that relates to you having a happier, healthier relationship with money. I want to thank you for joining us today. My name is Steve Sexton. I want to thank you for sharing us with your friends and family and associates. We're getting close to 1 million listeners, so we're really happy with that. This week, got a lot of inquiries about real estate. Um, We've got Glen Henderson here. He's a frequent visitor to the show to talk about what's happening here the remainder of 2024. We're in April. We're starting to move into spring. You got summer. A lot of real estate gets sold. People got questions about foreclosures, short sales, what's going on with the increased interest rates. What does that mean to the real estate market? So Glen's going to be talking about that. I'm going to talk to you a little bit right now about what's going on in the markets. Because you know what? Right now, we're trying to figure out, hey, what's going on? We've got a caution notice issued by Morgan Stanley, their chief equity strategist said, the market is well overvalued. We don't know. It could take down the market. It could be a flash thing, a flash crash. We've got Citibank indicating that there's 88% are long in the S&P 500, which means 88% of the investments in the S&P are long, but they're also in the red, which means they're losing. And you have very few stocks that are actually moving forward with the market. I mean, that Magnificent Seven, everybody keeps talking about it, but it's also the the S&P 500. And we're in a situation where, you have 2 to 4 stocks carrying the enormity of the whole marketplace at S&P 500. And you know what? It went from 7 to 4. Pretty soon it'll be the final 2, just like the NCAA tournament. And then we have a downturn. But the question is, what is it going to take to burst this bubble? What is it going to take? So let's think about it. Think geopolitical. Because if you go back to 2000, 2008, you've got the tech bubble, you've got the mortgage crisis, you got the pandemic of 2020. What event is it going to take? Is it going to be, you think geopolitical, where you've got Iraq, Iran, China, Gaza, Israel, you got Russia. Okay. Is it the fact that the Fed doesn't lower interest rates? They've been, everybody, all the market's been talking about the headlines of lower interest rates, lower interest rates. We're going to have more, it'll be better for the market. They haven't. We're supposed to have, what, 5 or 6 of those this year? So far, they're not doing it because inflation is still pretty resilient. So, you know what? Is it going to be the issues with oil now that Iran is making, threats and is bombing Israel? Is it, the fact that the U.S. debt is so darn high? Is it, gold? Whatever it is, okay? We're in a situation, whether it be me, my charts, the experts, we're in a bubble. So it's so very important to look at creating and protecting your lifestyle. And the way you do that is you isolate and protect your purpose-driven money. That's the money that you use to support and maintain your lifestyle. It's the money that you use to cover your health care later in life, okay? And you know what? Time is not an ally of your purpose money. And the reason being is if the market go down, you still need your money now. So that's the reason why you have to isolate and protect it. On top of that, you have purpose-driven money. Like, that purpose-driven money is that legacy money. You know what? If it goes up or down or goes away, it doesn't affect your lifestyle. It's the legacy money there. So it's important that you analyze and figure out what portion is your purpose money. And then you look at how do I isolate and protect that. So folks, I want to thank you for joining us there. Stick with us. We're going to be right back. I'm going to be introducing you right now, just in a few moments, to Glen Henderson. Here we go.
Hey, Steve, can you hear me?
I can hear you well, Glenn. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you today?
Good. You look blurry with well, I don't even see you in there.
Yeah, let me see here. Camera. All right.
Okay.
Working now?
Yeah. Oh, Jesus, what's going on? Oh, that's tomorrow. Whew. I just saw somebody jumped on Zoom. I'm like, what?
Oh, got it.
At 10 o'clock, I'm like, did I screw up my schedule? But you look good.
Perfect.
Um, so how's everything going?
Good, real good. We're keeping really busy, which has been great.
Good, 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 good. You know what? Just like I said, when we put out that we were going to have a real estate professional on, people started saying, "Hey, you know what?" Some are like investors. They're like, "Hey, what's going on with short sales? What's going on with foreclosures?" Um, I actually have somebody that is going through foreclosure and they're trying to sell their house before it goes through foreclosure.
Yep.
So you know what? Maybe we could talk about things like that. Um, and obviously, you know what's actually going on right now. I mean, if you're really busy, that's awesome. It means a lot of people are either selling or buying. Am I right?
Yeah, the market has definitely picked up. We're seeing a lot more homes coming. Inventory has increased quite a bit
Okay, cool.
this
Stay right
year.
there. Let me introduce you and we'll get started.
Perfect.
Okay, cool. All right, here we go. Hey, Cameron, this is segment two. We're going to be talking with Glen Henderson here, and I'm going to go ahead and introduce that. So we start five, four, three, two, one. Hey, welcome back to the Saving with Steve show, where we talk about the ins and outs of money. Today, this week, we're talking about real estate, the real estate market. We have Glen Henderson. Glen is an expert. He's well known. You've seen him in multiple publications. And he's just really been a wonderful voice to our listeners here. So, Glenn, welcome back to the show.
Hey, Steve, thanks for having me.
I appreciate you being here. People have a lot of questions. So, I'm just going to, you know what, just kind of spit them out there right up front, like I almost did there a few moments ago. There's a lot of people who are looking to see if it's the right time to invest in the real estate market. And they're saying, hey, what's going on with short sales, foreclosures, things like that? Also, what's going on with the market in general? Obviously, we still have high interest rates. You know, how is that affecting the market? Is it positive? Is it negative? Are home prices going down or are they going up? It depends on certain parts of the United States because I know some parts still have issues where they just don't have enough houses. So it doesn't matter. It's going to keep going up.
Yep.
So with that, let's just start about, hey, what's going on in the general real estate market? How is it working out for you guys, so to speak?
Yeah. So the market as a whole, what we're seeing is inventory has picked up. So the number of homes coming on the market has picked up significantly this year. In March, we saw almost a 21% increase nationally compared to what we had seen the previous year. Um, the one thing that's been interesting though is the sales has not followed. So we just haven't had enough demand to meet. So the number of sales was down compared to March of last year, but we are seeing more inventory coming on the market, and it's really market specific. So there's some markets and neighborhoods where inventory is still lower than last year. Some metros, just depending on where you are in the U.S., that you were seeing prices declining, and then we're seeing other markets and metros that prices are on the rise. So it's really neighborhood and community specific.
Mhm.
Rates, beginning of this year, we'd seen get down into the low 6% range, which really helped bring a lot of people back, buyers back into the market. But over the last month, weekly, we've been seeing rates slowly creeping back up, just based on the inflation numbers that have been coming out and the reports on the economy. So as of yesterday, we were back into that 6.75, 6 and 7/8 range, which we haven't seen it, at least in the San Diego market. We haven't seen that over these last couple of weeks have a big impact on the market yet. But what concerns me is that if we follow this trend of these 0.25% increases every week, that we once we break into the 7% range again, that we're going to see that put more pressure on the market. And I think just the psychological part of it, we're still in the 6% range now, but when people hear 7%, I think it's going to just cause some people to pull back again.
I see. I see.
Yeah.
So, but okay. So now, what about all those houses that went into forbearance during the pandemic? The people are still having issues where they want to refinance, but they can't because the rates are so much higher. And you know what? Are we seeing a larger number of foreclosures and short sales?
So we're seeing part of the reason we've seen this big over 20% increase in inventory and homes coming on the market since last year is related to these. Part of it is related to these homeowners that have those loans, and they're in positions where they need to sell. But what we haven't seen is a big increase in short sales or foreclosures. We're seeing people going into default, but because we had such a big increase in appreciation since COVID, most people have enough equity in their home where they're able to sell traditionally still, but they're being forced into the sale because there's a foreclosure looming and they're in default. So defaults are still on the rise. We're going to continue to see more notice of defaults filed and the foreclosure process has started. But at this point, I don't think we're going to see a big increase in the short sales because of the equity people still have. But since last year, year and a half now, the appreciation that people are getting on their properties, again, depending on the market, but for San Diego example, we're seeing 4 to 6% depending on the neighborhood. Across the nation, it's pretty similar to that. The people that had bought in the last year, 2 years, and now they're just seeing this gradual appreciation. If some of those people start ending up in financial trouble, and if due to whatever reason with the economy or jobs, those are some of the ones that I think we could end up seeing as short sales in the upcoming year or 18 months.
Mm-hmm.
For example, we have one right now. They had to take a job transfer. They bought a year and a half ago, and they don't have the equity to sell, so they're a short sale because they were a more recent sale. But the people that had bought 2.5, 3 years ago, there's plenty of equity, and they're able to sell and cash out. And
so, for example, I'm just going to say this. We have many people that get into that little bubble of, oh my God, the bank's coming after me. I'm not able to make the payment because I was laid off, had health issues, or whatever the case may be, or had too much debt.
yep.
And they're like, okay, I'm in foreclosure. Okay. Or, they won't allow me to short sale it or whatever the case may be. If somebody has some equity and they're looking, a bank's looking to foreclose on them, what would be the perfect step to, because a lot of people don't understand when they're in the deer in the headlights of what they should be doing. So what somebody should be doing if that's their situation?
Number one is not ignoring the lender. If you're not sure if you have equity or don't have enough equity or don't have enough, either way, getting in touch with their loss mitigation department, starting the process for a loan modification or short sale, because that will stop the foreclosure process and at least give more time. And then getting in contact with the real estate agent to determine what the market value is of the property and what it would sell for in today's market. Then looking at, okay, how much do you owe? How much are you behind? The fees related to selling, and are you going to be able to sell? But the biggest thing is not waiting too long, because each month that you don't make a payment, that interest is accruing. The lenders add on all of their fees, late fees, attorney fees, and all kinds of junk fees that just continue to build and add to the balance. So not waiting too long, getting in touch with the lender to get yourself more time, and then getting in touch with an agent to determine the market value and how much equity you do have. Or if not, then you know that you need to go the short sale route.
Okay, perfect, perfect. Our listeners, thank you for that advice.
Yeah,
We're going to take a quick break and we're going to be right back with some more Glen Henderson.
perfect.
Perfect. Okay. That was perfect, Glenn. Thank you.
Good.
Now, is there anything that you would like to tell people out there right now in this market, other than I'd like you to go through your process for selling your house for the most, because everybody loves that. Is there anything that would make sense that people know about this marketplace right now?
Um, just the, which we can tie into what, when we go through the steps, the market, the buyers right now are very, very cautious. And we're seeing a significant more cancellations, or significantly more cancellations on transactions. And a lot of times it's taking 2 or 3 times to get a property sold.
Mm-hmm.
And buyers are canceling for the littlest reasons. And it's, and I think it's just because of the uncertainty in the market, how high rates are, people are stretching themselves, and they're just being very cautious right now.
Could it also be the fact that they're possibly looking at more layoffs and they're concerned about their job moving forward as well?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's, yeah, all tied in, where it's just related to those items that you mentioned. Just the economy as a whole. They're seeing prices are of goods are still either going up or staying the same. The
Mhm.
inflation numbers are not going in the direction that everybody hopes. Like you
Okay.
said, concerns of overwork or jobs. There's just a lot of uncertainty in the market right now.
Okay, so let's talk about that. So let me get this rolling.
Perfect.
Hey, welcome back to the Saving with Steve show, where we talk about the ins and outs of money. I want to thank you for joining us today, sharing us with your friends and family. You can get all the replays at www.savingwithsteve.us. If you're enjoying the stories of helpful information, insight on Saving with Steve, then I encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Never miss a show by checking out a few of our affiliates as well at UK Health Radio, BBS Radio, Talk Radio New York City. All these networks are dedicated to empowering you to solve problems, uplift your spirit, live a life of personal financial freedom. Now, with that, I want to bring back Glen Henderson. You know what? One of the things that everybody loves to hear, especially in this marketplace, is how do you sell your house for the most amount of money? The other thing that we were chatting a little bit offline about is what are the things that are affecting people or affecting the sales process right now? One of the things you did tell me was, hey, you know what? We might have to sell a house a couple times because people are dropping out for the littlest things. So how do we make it hard for somebody to drop out because there's no issues or anything? Does that make sense?
Yeah, exactly. And it's just what basically the steps that we're going to go through is to make sure we do everything right to have a successful sale, get your home sold for top dollar, but also make sure that you're getting it done the first time. We're trying to do as much as possible to make sure that it goes through the first time, because of the uncertainty that there is in the market right now. Buyers are stretching themselves to get into homes. Their payments are very high because of the high interest rates. All of these different factors related to the economy, directly to the housing market. People are very cautious in as they're moving forward through the transaction, and we're seeing a significantly higher number of cancellations. So these steps are designed, and one of the purposes is to try and minimize the number of times, or minimize the likelihood of a cancellation, which leads into the first one, which is the pre-inspection. So I always recommend, before putting the home on the market, having a pre-inspection or a home inspection done on the property. Basically, that's the same inspection that a buyer would have done once you go into escrow. And the purpose of doing that up front is that we're able to then identify any potential problems or concerns, and then identify which items we might want to address or take care of that could be a problem once we get into escrow. And we're just eliminating that likelihood or that chance that then, or eliminating a surprise once we're in escrow. And then by having the report up front and providing that to buyers up front during the negotiations, they know exactly what they're getting in the home. And then it eliminates that likelihood of them canceling because the home's not in the condition that they expected.
I see. I see. I think that's really important because, yeah, no, that also makes it a big deal, especially if it's not in the position you can lose money on the back end as well.
Yeah, exactly. And where we're talking about some of these sellers that, maybe that bought a year or two ago, that their margins very tight and there's not a lot of extra money there. We need to know if we're going to be potentially facing some big repair or some big expense that we weren't expecting. And
And
then second,
can I add into some of that? One of the other things I remember during COVID, how homes were selling so fast
yep.
and people are just, hey, I'm trying to get in, I'll take it as is. They're
Hmm.
not doing that anymore. So,
No.
so yeah, that's something to keep in mind.
Yeah, it's much different now. And the second part would be the staging. So once we've done all of our inspections, we've made any repairs or addressed any items that we need to. The staging, there's two parts to this. So if a home's vacant, then staging is bringing in the furniture, making it look like a model home. Or if you're living in the home, then it's going through the process of decluttering, depersonalizing the home. We work with our clients to potentially rearrange or restage a room. Sometimes we'll bring in furniture specific to an area or room to make sure it shows as its intended use. So, for example, a lot of people started working from home and dining rooms or living rooms, became work areas. Well, for the sale, we may need to take that out and then stage it as a dining room or a living room again. That's one example of where somebody may be living in their home still, but we just do a partial staging. But it also applies to curb appeal. So it could be, painting the front, planting some flowering plants in the front for color, making sure the lawn's being watered more often so it's nice and green. Those little touch-up items to just make sure that that first impression when somebody pulls up to the house, they say, wow, I'm excited to see the house. And then as they go through the home, that it's showing in its best light. And then third is the pricing of the home. So with pricing, it's especially now that rates have gone up so much, pricing is so important. And a lot of times I get asked, should we price it higher? That way we have room to negotiate down, which typically does not ever work out as well as if you price it accurately or even price a little bit below market to get a lot of interest in the property. And our goal is always to price it accurately or just below market so that it helps create a lot of interest in the property through all the marketing that we do. And then the goal is to create that situation where we have a bidding war, because when you have people competing against each other, that's when you're going to get the highest price for the property, because especially with residential real estate, because there's so much emotion involved in it. And people, one, when they know somebody else wants it, then there's that competitiveness, they want to win, but also the psychology of knowing that if somebody else is willing to pay that or somebody else is willing to pay over the asking price, then the home must be worth it. So then it helps them to justify paying more for the home. So instead of chasing the market down by pricing too high and waiting to see what somebody offers, if we price it accurately, market it well, and get that bidding war, then we're in control and we're able to then negotiate the price up.
Yeah, it's always nice to have multiple offers.
Oh, absolutely.
It's tough when you only have one. And
Yep.
what's next?
The marketing. So I always say there's two types of agents, the passive agent and the active agent. The passive is the one that puts the sign in the front yard, puts it on the internet, and then waits for the phone to ring. And then there's the active agent. So like us, for example, we're actively marketing the property. So we have a whole strategy of how we from preparing the home for the market to the coming soon listing, the marketing to start to build exposure, interest in the property, and then the open house, starting the showings on the open house weekend. So the goal is to create a lot of interest and buzz around the property leading up to that first open house weekend. And then with the open house weekend, the goal is to try and condense as many of the showings as possible into those 2 days. Because if people are coming through the open house, they're seeing a lot of other people at the house, they're seeing that people are interested, then it goes back to that psychology of, well, there's a lot of people that want this, so it must be a good house. This must be a good opportunity. And it helps incentivize people to act quicker and then a
Mhm.
lot of times offer more than what they may have initially.
That's wonderful. And what's next?
And then the last is negotiating. And with the negotiations, and this will actually tie into something you mentioned earlier too. So with the negotiations, there's really two points of negotiations with the contract. So there's first going into escrow, negotiating all the terms, the price, and everything related to the sale of the property. Then the buyers have their opportunity to complete their inspections, do all of their due diligence, and then they have that second point of negotiation where they can ask for repairs or credits. And that's where you mentioned, Steve, during COVID, that wasn't happening. People were just had to buy as is. They knew that if they asked for anything, the seller would just cancel, move on to the next buyer. But in the market we're in now, buyers are able to ask for items again, and they're actually really trying to leverage this point as a second point of negotiation to get credits. And that's mainly what we're seeing is these really big credits that people are trying to ask for. Fortunately, we haven't been dealing with it nearly as much as all of my counterparts because we do all of these steps up front. We get the inspections done and we have everything disclosed ahead of time. So we basically eliminate that second point of negotiation. But so all of these first four steps, and especially that first one, the pre-inspection, is where we can really have a direct impact on the negotiations and making sure that we are able to minimize any credits or repairs. And then that first point of negotiations, as far as the price and the terms, everything that we do with the pricing and the marketing then gets us in that position where we have, in most situations, more than one offer and we're negotiating, the best terms and the best price for our sellers.
Yeah, you know what? This is one of the reasons why if somebody's looking to hire a real estate agent, they don't want somebody with a small amount of experience. They want somebody who's been through it, understands these things, and can do the marketing to get your house to sell. Now, just out of curiosity, how long is a typical house on the market before it sells?
Yep. So San Diego, our market right now, we're just under 3 weeks for average market time. A lot of markets and areas within San Diego were under a week if everything's done correctly. But it's interesting. Just one little thing can be off. They don't do a good job with photos and the presentation. If the home looks real cluttered or there's problems, just the smallest little items, and you'll see some homes that are the outliers that are sitting on the market for 2, 3 months, and it's because buyers are so cautious right now to take any action. So if there's anything that just seems off, or if the price is a little bit too high, that we're definitely, there's homes that we're seeing that are on the market for substantially longer periods of time.
Okay, that's great, Glenn. Now, my last question is this. When you said every little thing, what is the typical impact on somebody who has a house that's priced too high? So for example, in a neighborhood, the houses are selling for 1 million, person's got it at 1,300,000. And you're way above the marketplace. What's the, I've seen these before and I've listened to people, they say, yeah, I started up here, I had to come down, and it's been sitting on the market for a long time. In fact, they had to actually take it off the market and wait 6 or 7 months and then come back.
Yep. So
Um, Glenn, I'm going to stop recording for a second. I got to get this. I've got somebody with some issues here. Okay, hold on 1 second. Okay. Sorry, Glenn.
yeah, no problem.
Okay.
Oops, hold on, let me.
Here we
Yeah,
go. Okay, so go ahead and continue.
yep. So When somebody puts their home on the market too high, so your example, market price should be around 1 million, you go on at 1,200,000, 1,300,000, that home is just, it's not going to receive any activity or showings. And especially nowadays, because buyers have all of the information. They can go on, there's a multitude of websites they can go on and see what other sales have been, what the estimated value of a property is. So if that home stands out, or if it's significantly overpriced, it's just not going to get any interest or any showings. Or if it does, it's just the looky-loos that are coming through. So that property will sit, it'll spend more time on the market. Eventually, the sellers will come around, do a price reduction. This example being that high, or that delta of 200,000 to 300,000 above what market value should be. It could be a multiple price reductions before you start to get close to where market value is. And then what happens? The market time goes up. So if you're in a market where homes in that neighborhood are selling in 2 or 3 weeks, and you've been on the market for 2 or 3 months, then of course the perception is what's wrong with that home. In addition to being priced too high, there must be problems with it. And then by the time you get down to an accurate market price, so now you've got it reduced to 1 million, and along with the other homes that are priced at 1 million, but you've been on the market for 3, 4 months, even though the price is accurate, buyers see how long it's been on the market. So there's that perception there must be problems with this home. And then it's just getting skipped over. And then also any type of data feed where buyers are looking at properties online, all of them sort by time on the market by
Oh,
default. So then yours is at the very bottom of the list. So here at the bottom of the list, you've got that perception of there must be something wrong. And then when people see that a home has spent more time on the market, there's always the perception that, well, there's a good chance that they might be more willing to negotiate. So then you get down to, you're at 1 million, you're in line with the other homes, but you've been on the market 3, 4 months. You're going to start receiving those offers at 950, 960,000, because the perception that you need to sell and you're going to be willing to negotiate. Where one of your neighbor's homes could come on the market at 980, it's a fantastic deal, and then they end up selling for 1,020,000, 1,050,000. And it's just because of that perception and the wrong
mhm.
strategy with pricing up front.
So it doesn't make sense to try and pop up the highest price right at
No,
the beginning. So
no, definitely not.
yeah.
The only time that it is it this is all related to residential. If you're dealing with an investment property, or that's multi-unit, residential or commercial, just residential, that's different because investors, there's no emotion. It's all just by the numbers. So, if they see a property they're interested in, they're just going to offer what they want to offer. But anything that's related to just residential, and there's that emotion and everything else involved, it never works out pricing it high and chasing the market down.
I want to thank you for answering that question.
Yeah.
We've actually had about 20 emails that came in from our listeners line or our viewers line. And they're just saying, hey, I've got a relative that's doing this. I think they're crazy, but why does it not make sense, or why does it make sense? And everybody's rationale is they think they're going to be able to negotiate if they start with a higher price. And the reality is, if they're negotiating, it's going to be down. That's basically what you're telling me.
Yeah.
Uh, so
And the thing is, no matter what, you're going to be negotiating. So if you start low and you create the bidding war, you're negotiating, but you're in control of the negotiations, and you're negotiating and countering at higher prices and trying and pushing the price up. You price too high, then you're just chasing the market down, and then the buyer's the one that's in control, and they're the ones that are dictating more of the terms, and they're the ones that are dictating price. So either way, you're going to be negotiating, but with the right strategy and pricing it correctly, you can be the one that's in charge. So
I think that's really important to say. I think when you take a look at the emotion of somebody who's buying and they've got it in their head, like, I can get this for less because of this, this, and this, or I'm going to have to pay more in order to get what I want. there's a different psychology and emotion that goes along with this because you know what, you've seen those bidding wars go higher and higher just because people want it and that desire and the need for it is there. Whereas on the lower side, there's less and less. So if there's less and less, I can get it for lower and lower. So it's important for people to realize that. So I want to thank you for sharing that with us today. I think that was wonderful. Glenn, you're a fountain of information when it comes to real estate, and we appreciate you being here today. How can people get a hold of you if they would like your help?
Yeah. So number is 619-500-3222.
One
And
more
then
time.
our website is mypremierhomes.com.
Could you give the phone number out one more time?
619-500-3222.
Appreciate that, Glenn.
Yeah.
Hey, you have a wonderful day. Thanks for being with us. And you know what? We'll look forward to having you back again sometime.
Hey, thank you, Steve. Thanks for having me.
You got it. Hey,
Take
thank
care.
you all for joining us today on Saving with Steve. And we'll look forward to seeing you next week. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you then. Bye bye. Okay, let's see. Let's do the stop recording. Cool. Glenn, that was
Okay.
great.
Excellent. Well, thank you.
And I'm glad everything's going really well. It's funny because I guess Kyle Whistle's got an office in my building. There's like 4 real estate offices in my building. And it's really
Yeah,
interesting because some, seems to be going pretty good, others not so good. So it's interesting.
it is. So it's almost like it was during the downturn years ago. The top people and the established people are doing really well right now, and a lot of us are growing. And then the lower people that are, we're doing this part-time or just not as much experience or all the different reasons, they're just suffering, and a lot of them are leaving the industry. A lot of them are getting second jobs. So it's we're getting more of that separation again now.
Well, that's also
It's
good
not
too.
easy right now, and it was way too easy for too long, and it brought in all those people that shouldn't be in the business to begin with, and they're all getting weeded out right now.
I was it. I remember. I think it was in '08 with the market there. I'm sorry, it's the last housing market. I probably knew 15 people who got their shingle for being a realtor, passed the license, handed out their business card. Most of them did 1 or 2 sales over a period of 3 to 4 months, and then everything went. And the
Yeah,
next thing you know, they're like, nobody's calling, nobody's doing anything. And they went from loving the industry to hating it.
yeah.
Although I did have one who understood marketing and understood they were getting in late, and she's actually a performer up here now because of that. But you're right. People who don't have a lot of experience don't know how to deal with these tough times, and when you have the marketing and experience and all that, it makes a big difference. So that's cool.
Yeah, I've got one guy that works with me, Kevin, and I mean, he's just a hustler. He's not scared of work, and he's willing to do it, day in and day out. And he's doing great still. So the woman you just mentioned, somebody that's willing to work hard, but most of the people that got into the industry just looked at it as easy money and don't really want to work hard. And those are all
Mhm.
the ones that are getting weeded out.
Yeah, they're the ones that get weeded out. They're the ones that get the lawsuits and all that stuff. No, I'm serious. They just,
Yeah,
they think it's too easy. Oh, fill out this contract. Okay, we're good.
yeah,
Uh,
yep.
but that's cool. I'm glad things are going well for you. How's Sarah doing?
She's doing really well. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's doing great. Everything's been just, I mean, definitely no complaints. We're on our last year of Kaizen this year, which is great.
Yeah. Cool.
Yep.
Cool.
So,
Cool. Cool. That's
so
nice.
after we get done with this, then we'll need to figure out what we want to do moving forward to these next few years. So we'll
Mhm.
be talking to you then.
Do you have a SAP IRA at all?
Mm-mm.
Okay, we'll have to talk about that next.
Yeah.
You got the life insurance piece at piece, and we'll start talking about other things once you're all done there. So,
Yeah, I think that
but
sounds good because we'll have that. Basically, what we've talked about is with this a big chunk, because I think it's what 80,000 roughly that we put in each year.
mhm,
Doing that, just continuing, that mindset that money just automatically gets set aside and just
mhm.
putting that into something else.
No, that's great. That's great. In fact, with you guys, we can do a lot of things, but we don't need to talk about it now.
Yeah.
Let's see. What was I going to say? I forgot. Oh well. I tell you
How are
what.
you guys doing? Everything good?
Uh, both kids are out of college. They both got their masters. Connor's
Gosh, they have
doing,
their masters now too?
yeah, they both have their masters. Connor's working for a company in Rancho Bernardo called ASML. They make $300 million circuit board manufacturing equipment. He deals with all the new lasers and all that stuff to do all that stuff. And he's actually gotten like big raises and all that stuff and just got promoted. He'd only been there for a year.
Great.
They sent him to Velhoven, the Netherlands. He's been there a couple of times and he'll probably go back again. And Paige works for KPMG, the accounting firm. So so yeah, they're doing really well. We're really excited because they've got, viable employment.
Yeah. Oh yeah, great jobs. Good for them. I can't believe because I remember it doesn't seem like that long ago when we were talking and they were trying to figure out where they were going to go to college and everything. Now they already have their masters and
Oh
yeah.
yeah, it just goes so fast, Glenn.
Yeah.
It's just next thing you're what is it? We were up helping Paige move in Idaho a couple weeks back, and it was during the NCAA semifinals.
Yeah.
And my daughter got involved with the pool that was at KPMG, and I helped her a little bit with it, but she's actually she actually won the pool out of all the employees. So it was a big thing for her. She was really excited. But it was weird. We went to Buffalo Wild Wings and had food. We're all having beers and stuff like that. When am I having beers with my kids?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, so it's just different.
Oh yeah. And it just I can't imagine how fast it must feel like for you guys just watching it all change.
Oh yeah, well the
Yeah.
weird part is like I lost all my the hair's going away and I just turned 60 this year. It's crazy. So
Yeah. Goes fast, doesn't it? Yeah.
oh yeah, so it's nuts. It's nuts. It's a see all the changes in my friends and stuff like that or my age and all that. So it's just different. But look, sorry to do this to you, but I gotta go.
Yeah.
But you have a great day. I appreciate you being here. I would like to, if it's okay, have you on a couple of times because it helps me and hopefully it helps you.
Yeah.
Most of the people that I have that come on and do real estate, they really want to talk about real estate investing.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's the only thing they advocate. And it's usually about somebody getting pushed onto their real estate investment system. And basically, when I started looking at the views online and the revisiting of the views, theirs are very, very little. Yours are more. People like going back and watching yours.
Oh, good.
So that helps me. I hope it helps you. It might be just an affinity building thing for you, which is great, but I appreciate it. If you're open to do it, I'd like to see if we can have you on a couple, 3 times a year, if that's cool.
Oh yeah, I enjoy doing it. It's great. So I'm glad it helps. And there hasn't been anything like directly, but just it it doesn't directly help me, but it indirectly helps me because it just continues to build my visibility online.
Mhm.
So if anybody's researching me or anything else and they see that I'm doing these shows and the different things. So it definitely helps in that regard. And I'm also just happy to help you and I enjoy doing it. So
I appreciate it. And plus, it
yeah.
doesn't take all that long.
Yeah, yeah, it's easy. I mean, we're already done. So
20 minutes. I'll tell you what, I'll let you go. Say hi to
perfect.
Sarah for me.
Will
And
do.
if you need anything, just give me a ring, okay?
Thanks, Steve. Take care.
Bye.